where we have standing by both speakers of the Youth Congress for the island of Guam, and of course the CNMI. We have Stephanie Lorenzo and Cielo Long. Good morning, Madam Speakers.
Hi, good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning, morning. So I saw you guys had sent out a release, and we kind of made a habit of getting the Guam Youth Congress on to really just. I like having you guys as a sounding board, because what's that saying, sir? I believe the children are the future. Right, so it's always good to get you guys' perspective. But you guys recently met with the CNMI Youth Congress, and according to this release, it was to discuss shared goals, regional youth conference, and long-term collaboration, which is good. I love to see collaboration between all of our islands. So I guess kind of, if you want to start at the beginning, what kind of prompted this meet, and what were some of the takeaways from it?
So Chris, this meeting has, I want to say, been years in the making. This is something that we have talked about since I first started the Youth Congress back in 2015, 2016. And so in the beginning of the 33rd Youth Congress, I sat down with the leadership and I said, okay, guys, these are the things that I would like to accomplish in terms of advancing the youth Guam. And one of them was reaching out to our counterparts in the CNMI and kind of getting their perspective on how they run their body, right? Kind of understanding how they operate in terms of their branch. So I'm really glad that we were able to have this happen. I guess now that, like with the rising COVID cases, this is kind of a way to re-synergize the youth and saying, okay, you know what? Yes, there's COVID, but you as young people have a voice in terms of how we can help curb this new rise of cases. So, yeah.
Cielo?
Yeah, so to my recent knowledge, actually the CNMI Youth Congress was originally conceptualized from the Guam Youth Congress. So a lot of our ideals, protocols, regulations are pretty much the same. So when she reached out and wanted to hold this meeting, I was more than willing to join in because, it shows that even if we are two completely separate bodies, teamwork beyond differences is possible. And if we can be that example for the youth, then by all means, we're going to do it. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Shared goals. Steph, you talk about fighting this rise in cases. How is the meeting of your two bodies aiming to do that?
So I think I'm so sorry. So our meeting was primarily around kind of engaging the youth throughout the region. And so one of the things that we talked about was a potential, I'm so sorry, Speaker Long, what was it? A potential youth summit? I believe Speaker Long can give some more background on that, because I know in her budget or how they operate, they actually have to do a youth summit every year. And so one of the things that in our meeting talked about was kind of expanding it wider to both Guam youth and then the CNMI to kind of have this one big youth conference. In discussion during the weekend, we also noted that a lot, Guam has a lot of these youth organizations, but we don't really come together as a whole to kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, what topics are the youth most passionate about nowadays? And so I think between our two bodies is something that we're going to be working towards, at least for me, for the duration of my term.
Right. Cielo, what are some of the topics that are important to the youth in the CNMI?
Right now, definitely with COVID-19 still being apparent, worldwide, it's kind of taken the CNMI by storm, and it still is definitely something that the youth has to deal with. It's almost like the most concerning issues that the youth has to, go through is so much more heightened because we have COVID-19, and it's almost like we don't know, where to move forward, where to stop. I mean, we have lack of physical activity, lack of socialization, the mental health is really bad. I mean, there was a pause in the educational system for almost a year. So it's like we're working together to try and kind of move forward, because it is definitely something that is very prominent in the CNMI. And I do give props to, the public school system admin, BOE, for kind of looking at the situation and, kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, how can we stop offering incentives of more remote learning, and how can we move forward? Like, how can we, encourage the youth to get vaccinated, to wear masks, to follow the protocols so that we can go fully back to the way it was. And yeah, that is definitely something that we're trying to work on right now.
Steph, do you find that the youth in Guam kind of share the same concerns as the youth in the NMI?
I want to say yes. In terms of at UOG, they're doing the administration, the students were working alongside each other to kind of curb the spike in cases. We're adhering to the protocols. I mean, contrary to a lot of the videos I've seen on WhatsApp of the students in GDOE schools kind of congregating, I think it's a lot of the educational component, just saying, okay, you know what, we're all partners in this battle against COVID, and we need to get vaccinated if you can. We need to social distance. We need to wear our masks, and just kind of follow the protocols that were in place when COVID first happened, because that's what kind of got us through the first wave, before the Delta variant came. So just a lot of, practicing what we've been doing for the last year and a half.
Back to basics, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Back to basics.
Let me close with this because it's pretty backed up for today. But I wanted to ask, like, the working relationship that started with this meeting that you guys have, and the working relationship that both of the youth congresses in Guam and the NMI are touting moving forward. Would you like to see this kind of collaboration between your counterparts in, let's say, like the Guam legislature, the NMI legislature, or even all the way to the top between our governors?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Speaker Long said in her in her quote that with this meeting being held and this future collaboration, it can hopefully set an example to our counterparts at the legislature and also to the governor, and then maybe we can reach out and learn more about our CNMI counterparts, or even more youth in the region, or more regional collaboration.
Definitely. Even if we are two completely different, parts of the world, we are still the same people. And it is important that we, take a step back and, really realize, okay, what are the steps we can take to be inclusive as a whole, and to share perspectives, and to, work together as a team instead of more so separately, because, that would be very beneficial to us.
Is there going to be any type of like goodwill exchange of, maybe ice keki and a piggy and blueberry bread, and then for us, we give Donny to Nancy, or
Chris, I will say that was one of the things that we were kind of talking about in our in our leadership group chat. Was kind of like, okay, who's gonna ask for ice keki? Because we're kind of running low on stock, right?
Yeah, I'll send hot pepper to you guys.
There you go, the Tinian one. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right, Madam Speakers, it's been good. Let's keep in touch. I love getting the Guam Youth Congress on, and now that I know that you guys are partnered with the NMI, maybe we could just kind of do a joint appearance on the link every once in a while, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Cielo. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you for having us.
Esta Jos, right on. Quick break, and we're coming back. This is a really interesting story. A couple of parents of a GDOE student with a special needs son, that they were trying to